taking the lead, analyzing the game from the rink to the field. From the ice to the turf, we'll break it down, discussing every win and every loss in town. We'll talk about the Canucks and the Lions. We are your irrational fans. We are your irrational fans.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 75 of the Hughes Sports Podcast. I am your host, of course, Jake Hughes, alongside the dancing fool, the old man. Old man, how the hell are you doing today?
I'm awesome. How can you not dance to that? It's just such a catchy little tune you got going there. I like it.
Well, see, the thing is I'm trying to be like proactive and like tweet things out, make sure people know
that's
we're
what I'm
live.
supposed to be doing.
Yeah, you're just sitting here dancing, and I'm doing what is supposed to be done of the host of the show.
Well, now I'm doing that now. You talk.
Yes, I guess so. What an exciting week it has been.
Whew.
Just a little bit of news to be covered. Last week we were on.
Buckle up, folks.
Last week we were on the air. What happened when we were on the air? There was a trade that happened.
Breaking news. Remember, we got all kerfuddled in the beginning.
What happened?
I don't remember.
There was a trade. The Ilya Mikheyev trade.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Was breaking.
I'm old. You can't rely on me to remember these things.
And since then, we have come through another week of the CFL. Plus, we've also gone through the draft and free agency.
And awards.
I don't care about the awards. I really...
Jake.
Of all the news that happened this weekend, the awards segment was one of the least talked about things by Monday at like 11 o'clock.
You're telling me if Mr. Quinn Hughes doesn't win the Norris, that we're not going to be talking about that.
But he did win the Norris.
No, so we should still be talking about it.
Yes, the first Canucks player to ever win the Norris Trophy. Congrats.
And he happens to be a Hughes. Can we claim him?
Distantly related, I'm sure, somewhere, as we all are.
Can we claim him?
I mean, he is a Canuck.
As part of our team?
As part of the Hughes Sports team?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think we would need to, have a conversation with the guy before we could just start claiming that this was his show.
Oh. Well, I didn't say it was his show. It's obviously your show. You telling me every week how this is your show and I'm just here for the comedy.
Well, at least you're aware of what you do.
I'm busy.
Could be worse.
Talk.
Don't tell me what to do. If you're watching live right now, please do stay tuned. And if you're listening on podcast, stay tuned to the end of the show. We have some exciting news about next week's show. The old man's losing it a little bit. He's a little excited. But first, let's jump into...
Can we tell the people now?
No, we should not tell the people now. We tell them at the end of the show. We hooked them in. We got big news regarding the show.
It's huge. We have to wait. That's what you're telling me.
We'll discuss it after the end of the show. Like at the end of the show, we'll discuss it.
After the end of the show now.
After the end of the show.
Nobody's going to hear it. Holy motherfuck. Jake's come up with all kinds of new rules.
Look, it's been one of those weeks. It's Wednesday. It feels like a Monday. This weekend was just a cluster. I was so busy. I still don't think I had a weekend.
Well, that's only because, what did you do this weekend? Let's talk about that just because we can, because it's our show.
It is our show. I went out camping to buttfuck nowhere, middle of northern Saskatchewan.
Can you say
lake
in 2024?
I just did.
Oh, okay. Why did you go camping?
Because I was told I had to.
No,
you didn't. Is that a correct answer?
What is tomorrow? Besides July 4th, America's birthday. Whose birthday is it really?
America's birthday. Technically, it came before who you're talking about. But it is my niece's birthday, your granddaughter's birthday.
Happy first birthday, Avery.
That's not her name. You're an idiot.
What did I say?
Avery.
Where did I get that from?
I don't know, but that's not her name. And you bet your ass I'm going to be showing this to my sister.
She's not watching.
This is why we can't ad-lib. This is the ad-libbing should be taken off the table. If it's not in the rundown, we don't talk about it anymore.
Moving on. I can't even recover from Everly.
So after the award show and after the draft, let's face it, the draft was very uneventful for the Canucks. There was a lot of events that happened at the draft. Do you actually want to talk about that? There's a lot of trades and things that happened at the draft that were kind of noteworthy around the league.
Well, I guess because nothing really happened around the Canucks, I didn't pay that much attention. I mean,
Well, we didn't
usually
have
the
a
draft
pick
I
until
pay a half a mind to.
Well, normally we have a first and second round pick, but this
Yeah,
year
this
we
time
didn't have that.
like 539, 5, 4, 3, 2. We didn't have a pick, so it wasn't interesting.
Steven Stamkos got traded to Nashville.
Yes.
After a reported contract. Did you hear the reported contract they offered him?
No.
They offered him $3 million for 6 years.
How much?
$3 million. This is the same guy who's been with the organization for 16 years. They've let him walk to free agency multiple times and then gave him that as an offer.
Yeah, gotta wonder.
It's,
so he ended up getting traded.
He got traded to Nashville. Nashville then did sign him.
For?
I don't remember what for. This wasn't in the rundown, remember?
Oh, right.
Jake Gensel's rights got traded.
To Toronto? No. Who took him?
Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay.
Trading,
yes.
After trading him, signed a huge deal. 7 years, $63 million. The Canucks were never in conversation. This has come out after the draft or after the free agency. Never had a conversation with the Hurricanes about acquiring his rights.
You know what was brilliant? And I know we haven't jumped into free agency yet, but they had everybody looking over here. It's like, look what this left hand's doing. The right hand got what they wanted.
Yep.
Without an issue because nobody saw it coming.
Well, and not just that, but even like according to the insiders, like Dollywall and Thomas Drance,
none of them.
They had no information. Literally, they went dark about 48 hours before the draft.
Yep.
And trying to get information was like trying to pull teeth.
The whole team shut down, which is so unusual at that level of sport because you always want to make sure you have your reporters, your insiders in your pocket because it's beneficial to you. But they, as an organization, said to do this properly, we need complete silence.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Right? Everyone was talking about they're in on Gensel. They're talking to Gensel. And then I guess we can talk about it, but the Canucks make a very big splash and sign Jake DeBrusk to a 7-year, $5.5 million AAV contract.
You know what the best part of this contract, besides that I like the player?
Yep.
We will never have Lou call a game for the Vancouver Canucks ever again for the next 7 years because he refuses to be the color when his son is playing.
Which I think is fair.
Canucks. Oh, I think it's the proper thing to do. I would never do color if you were... I don't know what your mom's going on about.
I don't know.
Just something about Nanny Boom, but I'm not really sure.
Just let her go.
Just let her go. Where was I? It distracted me once again, Jake.
You're talking about the greatest thing, Louis not calling the games?
Oh, yeah. If you were playing hockey, like if we actually thought
Word.
we should give you skates when you were a child, but we weren't allowed to give you sharp objects.
Still not
So
allowed technically.
you're not allowed. Um, I think it's a great standard that he has set because
Yeah.
how could you be even close to being neutral? You
No,
couldn't. Or
exactly.
biased, unbiased.
Exactly. But let's rewind a little bit.
Yeah.
Those were kind of the big things out of the draft.
Yeah.
I don't even know who the Canucks drafted, but free agency as a whole, $1 billion spent in one day. Now, obviously not in one season. That's over multiple seasons.
Yeah,
And
but
some
that's
of the
contracts were worth.
$1 billion spent in 100 different contracts.
Can you do me a favor? Well, at some point during this broadcast, can you look up and tell me what McDavid is making?
What McDavid is making, yes.
Yeah, I want to know what McDavid's contract is because I was looking at contracts today and I was kind of disappointed that we couldn't sign Zadorov and Lindholm, or at least one of them. And then I looked at what Lindholm got paid.
How much did Lindholm get paid?
$7.75 million per year.
So Connor McDavid is making $12.5 million a year.
How in the hell can we say that Lindholm is half as good, over half as good, as the greatest player to play the game in our era? He is. I don't like him. Nick Slappy Face. Will always be calling him that. But he is one of the greatest players to ever play the game, and by far the greatest player in our era, in the modern era.
Yeah,
is he better than Gretzky? I don't know. I think that's another debate for another time.
It is, yes.
But
however,
Lindholm is worth 3/4 of what Connor McDavid is worth.
However, you do have to look at different situations. So Connor McDavid signed this contract in 2018, 2017. In 2017. The $12.5 million of the percentage of cap space is quite a bit more than the 7.75 that Lindholm is making. Well, so if you look at percentage of cap, who cares about the actual number? Percentage of cap, it might make sense.
Oh, I see where you're going with that. Yeah.
So, and I know this because of listening to Thomas Drance and how he explains things, how agents view things. Is it's because not always about the number.
Much higher now than it was 10%, in 2018.
10% of 90 million is 9 million. In 2018, when the cap was 72 million, that's a $7.2 million contract. Right? Like that's a huge gap when you look at just the numbers, but the percentage of the pie remains the same. So when you're evaluating contracts, it's really hard to always evaluate over time unless they're signed at the same time.
Well, can you imagine if McDavid's contract was coming due this year?
Well, it's due at the end of 25, 26.
How much is that kid going to be making?
The big question is, if he wins a cup, how much money is he going to be making?
Yeah.
If he wants to keep a team together and build around him, how big of is he going to stay at that same level?
Well, will he take that discount, right? Because you got Utah or who knows which team at that point that's going to have a huge cap.
Cap space.
Cap space. Thank you. People are going to pay big bucks for that kid.
Yep.
$1 billion. Is that the most ever spent?
I believe it is. Yes.
I mean, I've heard the number thrown around a whole bunch, but I think it has to be.
I think it has to be, but I don't think by much. Like I think records were 985 or so.
Wow.
If my memory is serving me correctly.
So much money. It's just insane how much money is involved in sports.
I think the crazy thing is that if you look at payment per player in the NHL, they're severely underpaid versus every other major sport.
Oh, I was just going to say that. I would like to see what the free agency is what that contract dollar would be for baseball on free agency day, because I bet you it's billions.
Well, I mean, Shohei Ohtani's contract is ridiculous amounts of money.
Yeah, it's pretty much a team.
Yeah. I mean, the bigger one than that, even than baseball, is soccer.
Yeah,
or footy, right? If you look at the transfers and how much, because they don't have a free agent day, but they transfer ownership of players. So
Yeah.
it's, I'll pay you this much money to take ownership of that contract. Plus, we're going to pay the guy this much money on top of that. It's like, holy jeez. But
it takes it to a different level.
It really does. But let's talk about the Canucks signings. So out of the gates, let's talk about the big signing, the hopefully top 6 winger playing with PD, Jake DeBrusk. 7 years, 5.5 million AAV, as we talked about. What are your thoughts on the contract itself?
It caught me off guard, to be honest, when I first saw it come up, and I was like, they did what? What? Huh? Because we were all looking the other way. We were looking at what the left hand was doing, while the right hand was actually taking the money and making it happen. So, I mean, where does he play? And I guess contract aside,
well, and that's what I want to
smarter
talk about
people
first.
than me figure that shit out. When I look at it, I look at, okay, we got this player. He's a 6'1", 200-pounder. He's 27 years old, so he's young. And where can we put him in? Like, does he play with PD, or can he go on the other line?
I think obviously this just adds another piece to the top 6.
Yeah.
And hopefully you can try, like at training camp, workouts and everything, you're going to try him with PD.
I think you have to start.
I think I'm sure right now, Talkett and Alvin and co are sitting down and putting together kind of what they want to see. And I'm sure penciled in there is DeBrusk, PD, and Höglander as your top line. Or second line, depending on where you put the Brock, Besser, JT Miller line.
Are we going with 1 and 1A again? Are we back to that?
I think you are. If
right.
DeBrusk and PD gain chemistry, and then we re-signed Dakota Joshua and Teddy Bluger.
Yes.
You now have what was the best third line in the NHL for long stretches of the year. If you can get Jake DeBrusk, and PD and Höglander some chemistry right away, you've got 3 solid lines.
And not only 3 solid lines, but 3 amazingly solid lines. Like, it's... I know we're biased. Obviously, we're homers. We're supposed to be. Remember, we talked about this week after week. We're the irrational homer fans. When I look at it, I just get so freaking excited. It's like, when did the season start? I want to see this happen, because
we're only 90 odd days away from it.
I know, eh? It's like, can we match what we did last year with these signings, with the way they've put this team together? My only worry is on defense, to be blunt.
Yep.
Right.
And I mean, we did make some signings in defense. So let's go through the rest of the signings here.
Yeah.
So not only did we get
DeBrusk,
the Canucks also in keeping people quiet, like the media quiet, the Canucks broke all their own trades. It wasn't Elliot Friedman. It wasn't Thomas Drance, Rick Dhaliwal. Almost exclusively was the Canucks Twitter account putting out the "We have signed."
That's how everybody found out at the same time what had happened.
Yep.
It was amazing.
It's so cool to see something, because it's not something you see often at all anymore. There's always rumors.
Always see Elliot Friedman is usually the guy breaking most of them, because he's the insider's insider.
We signed Kiefer Sherwood to a 2-year, 1.5 million AAV contract. You might remember him as being the annoying pain in the ass, hitting forward.
Nobody is happier than Mr. Hughes right now. Not this Mr. Hughes, Quinn Hughes, because he said he was the most irritating son of a to play against. It's one of those players where you hate him if he's not on your team, and you love him when he's on your team.
Yep. 10 goals, 17 assists in 68 games, a bottom 6 contributor. But if again, let's put him on the fourth line. That's a solid fourth line contributor.
And I mean, at 6 feet and again 194 pounds, it's not like he's a small guy.
No, and he's going to go in there and play that hard hitting game.
Yeah,
And $1.5 million for 2 years is nothing.
yeah, great signing.
Then we signed the probably most expected to the next Dakota Joshua type player to replace Dakota Joshua, and then we re-signed extended Joshua and signed Denton Heinen to a 2-year, $2.25 million AAV.
Local kid comes home.
Now, middle six winger. I want to see him play with Miller and Besser.
Oh, really?
I think, and I think he's got the skill set to let Miller have space, Besser to be able to get into a shooting spot, because he's able to go in and chase down those pucks. He's able to put in the hits and create space.
Well, I mean, again, he's a big kid, 6'2", 200 pounds. So,
and if you do that, you move Suter down to your fourth line center. I think that's your best move. That gives you the enough depth in forwards.
I'd love to be able to argue that with you.
If there's chemistry.
And it really is going to come down to, with all these players, is can you put Heinen with
Miller and Besser? Is there chemistry there?
Or do you put him on the PD line?
Is there instant chemistry with PD and Höglander?
There's so many. That's why it's so exciting to like, for the first time in a decade, we get to be excited in the offseason instead of going, what the fudge are they doing? None of this is making any sense.
And it's not going out to get guys who, they have playoff experience. They'll be good mentors for the kids. No, we have these gaps we need to fill, and we're filling them.
Right.
Moving on from Denton Heinen, we signed Derek Forbert.
Chaos Draft replacement.
Well, not Chaos Draft replacement, because Chaos Draft is still on the team.
Yeah, I know. Well, okay, but he's
Ian
like
Cole,
a twin.
Ian Cole replacement.
But he's way bigger, and he actually plays for us and not Edmonton. This kid's 6'4". I mean, he's 32 years old. This man.
Yeah, well, to you.
This man is 32 years old, and he's 6'4" and 215 pounds. He's massive. He's a tank.
He's a big boy.
Yeah.
My only concern is his mobility, and not in his skating, and not in his speed, in getting the puck out of the defensive zone.
Yeah,
he might be able to separate plays and all of that, but being able to actually be a puck moving defenseman might have issues.
If he's replacing Zadorov, if that was the idea, the downside is that puck moving ability, because Zadorov was so good at it.
Well, and the offensive upside of Zadorov being like, no, I can do this, and in the playoffs coming up clutch and scoring a few big goals. Right?
Who calls Zadorov coming in from the freaking center and scoring? I remember some young lady that did.
We'll come back to this one. I have a list of people, but I'm going in order.
Okay.
Then there was a very quiet signing, not a lot of attention on it, in goaltender Jiri Patera.
Yeah.
It's an interesting pickup, and I love it, because obviously the rumors that you need to go find a goalie because Demko might not be healing on time. I think this puts that to bed. I think that this puts that to bed. Because you wouldn't go out and get a AHL tweener NHL goalie if you need to go get a NHL caliber replacement.
Oh, I see what you. Well, I mean, we have Silovs.
You can't run if Demko is slow on the healing or not healing. You can't put Silovs in for 60 games. He's unproven at that many games.
Well, yeah, but So was every other goalie until he was given the chance.
Most goalies are brought in and given 30 games, then given 40 games, then they're the starter and they're 60. And now goalies don't go over 60, 65 games a year unless you're an older
Weird.
goalie.
It's weird, man. Back in the day, man, your goalie played 80 games.
But science is coming saying, no, the sweet spot is for 55 to 60 games.
Yeah,
And I think as more and more science comes in, it'll be 41
45.
games is the perfect amount. You need a backup who can play 41 games.
Right? Yeah, you need 2 goalies. You have
you have
4 centers.
Yep.
Right?
Right. And you usually need 2 top quality centers.
Yeah, exactly.
You need 2 top quality defensemen, and you can fill in the rest with average or below average players, but you need those high quality players. You need the same. You just only have 2 spots on the bench. Yuri Patera is kind of an interesting pick here, like an interesting selection. He played behind some very terrible AHL defense this past year, from what I was reading and seeing, and had a fantastic save percentage at .929 with a 2.5 goals against average.
And I mean, he did play 8 games with the Knights, so it's not like he has 0 NHL.
Just not a full gig, like came up and got a cup of coffee. But
is this a case of because Seeloss is now going to be playing full-time in the NHL, we need somebody in the AHL?
Or is it, I mean, Abbotsford is only, an hour away if you get stuck in traffic? Is it a case of we need someone we can shuttle up and down with Shelovs? Someone who's able to play in the NHL on an emergency basis, but we want Shelovs to be playing 40 games this year.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And we're going to get that split. We're going to get 20 in the A, 20 in the
the
NHL.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
Is Seeloss on a 2-way still?
Yep.
Yeah.
No, he's unsigned still. He's a restricted free agent.
Oh, right. We've put an offer to him, and we're prepared to match any offer that comes in.
Any offer sheet that comes, yes.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, because there's no question he's going to be a Canuck next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another small depth signing, Nathan Smith. Just to bring AHL scoring. Literally, that's all I have him listed for. Nothing other than that. And then as the day was kind of wrapping up and thinking everything was done, the Canucks announced that Vincent Desharnais has signed with the team 2 years, $2 million AAV, a 6'7", 226-pound right-hand defenseman.
Which is what we kept saying we needed. We needed a right-hand defenseman. I didn't expect the Jolly Green frickin' giant.
Well, now our right-hand defensemen are Philip Hronek, who I think is a modest 6 foot.
Oh, if that. I bet you he's like 4'11" next to this kid.
You've got Tyler Myers at 6'5", and you got Vincent Desharnais at 6'7".
And you have the other guy at 6'4". Like our defense is massive.
My only concern, and including with Vincent Desharnais, is you have Hughes and you have Hronek, who I'm assuming are going to play together as your puck-moving defenseman.
Or do you separate those two and put Hughes, because they did have Hughes and Myers playing together at times last year.
But you can't be putting Myers out that much. Like that can't be your go-to.
Yeah.
Like the reason Myers looked so good last year and the reason that fans are excited that he re-signed is because he was playing third line minutes and looked as like a passable defenseman.
Not all fans were excited that he signed, just saying.
I think more fans were excited than weren't excited.
Okay, fine.
That kind of rounds out all of the Canuck signings as of right now.
Giving it a grade from as if we were in school, A down to E, including C+, C, C minus,
B+.
Yeah, you know what? Because I didn't go with pluses, so I was like, it's not an A, but it's definitely a high B.
Now, don't get me wrong, it could be an A. in
Talk to
5
me
months.
talk to me in December.
Yeah, 100%,
Right?
right? In
Or
5 months, we
actually
could be looking at
January.
this. We could be hitting that $2 million for Vincent Desharnais. That's a steal,
It's a gem.
right? Like 1.5 for Kiefer. Great pickup.
Now, do you think they're done? Are we done? Is this the lineup we see going in
Yes.
to the start the season, or is
Yes.
there a trade still could be brewing?
I don't think so. From everything I'm reading and hearing, they seem to be pretty happy with everything. They want to go into the season with salary cap. So right now, the Canucks would start the season with $1 million of cap space.
That they could
And
turn into $3 million using LITR.
LTIR, yes.
Yeah.
However, it's very confusing how that works. So if you hold off on dipping into LTIR, it's actually worth more at the trade deadline than it actually is worth.
Yes, exactly.
So if they can go the whole season or most of the season until they make a trade or need to make a move to put Tucker Pullman on LTIR, they can make a big splash.
What a great position to be in. Like a position we haven't seen the Canucks in
a decade.
forever.
And a decade?
Oh, probably more. Like
2014, we had just lost to Calgary in the playoffs.
Yes.
In the first round. No, in
second
no.
round.
No, that was 2012. So like we're 2 years gone from dynasty years. I think BX has gone from the team. This is where we start signing Jay Beagle, Roussel, OEL. Those are not OEL.
Who?
Erickson.
Who?
OEL. What a contract that guy got. Fuck.
Some of the numbers I saw, like, I'm sorry, Lindholm didn't deserve 7 years to begin with. At 7 points, I think it's 7.75.
Yeah. Did you know that if you look at the numbers, Jake DeBrusk and Elias Lindholm have almost identical numbers, not just in the regular season, but also in the postseason?
Yeah. And what did we get for DeBrusk? What did we pay him?
5.5.
$2 million less.
Yep. Which allowed us to go sign Vinny Desharnais.
Right? It's like, holy. And for the first time in so long, players are looking at the Canucks going, do you want me? Because I want to be a Canuck.
Yeah.
You guys have got it.
You guys have figured it out.
You have figured it out. And you're a contender.
Yep.
It was one season. I might be having egg on my face by Christmas next year or 2024. Because we suck.
2025?
No, Christmas 2024.
Oh, okay.
If we come out of the gate and we suck, we could be back where we used to be.
But Edmonton did it, so we can do it too.
What, suck?
Again, yeah.
Oh, I don't want to suck.
To start the season, they really sucked.
Yeah, they did. And then they went to the 7th game of the Stanley Cup. We'll talk about that later. Remind me of that. Bad start.
All right. Now some news that might ruffle your feathers and you might go on a little bit of a tangent. So I'm just warning your viewers. If you like tangents, sit down, get some popcorn.
Move the kids away from the TV or the radio or your phone, whatever you're listening on, because Jake might swear.
Because people are listening to us on the radio.
They could stream it to
the
radio.
The NHL reinstates Stan Bowman, Joel Quinnville, and Al McIsaac after ban for mishandling Chicago sexual assault scandal.
Mishandling? Why would you call it mishandling?
I'm literally reading.
They covered it up. It's not mishandling. They covered up a pedophile.
I'm reading word for word what the NHL has put out.
Yeah, I don't care what the NHL put out. I don't work for the NHL. The 3
are allowed to seek work immediately, but cannot sign a contract until July 10th.
Blah, 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 blah. How dare the NHL come out in 2024 and reinstate these three morons. I hope every team in this beautiful league that we have, what is there, 32 teams,
Yep.
says no, we won't allow this, because this wasn't just a oops or a mishandle. This was an obvious and intentional cover-up of a sexual assault. Look at these four guys that 4 is 5 on Team Canada's junior team. No team signed them. 4 of them are free agents. Nobody touched them. Double standards? Not saying.
Well, we have time to decide if just because the NHL reinstates it doesn't mean they have their jobs back.
No, they don't. I mean, they're definitely not with Chicago. Chicago let them go.
Well, so Chicago let the Bowman and McIsaac go, and Quinnville was actually in Florida at the time and stepped down when the allegations came to light.
But they're not on anybody's payroll, is what we're getting at. So I hope it stays that way, because I tell you, if it was my team, I don't know what I would do. I really don't. I don't know if I could say that I would stop cheering for the Canucks if one of these fucking assholes was signed to their team. I don't know. What would you do?
I don't know. And
Right?
luckily we don't have to worry about it because Rutherford and Alvina are in place. However, one team, the Edmonton Oilers, had their longtime GM, Ken Holland, and the team decide not to renegotiate and renew the contract.
There's got to be
all eyes are on them.
There's got to be better quality humans. And I'm not talking hockey here. This is beyond hockey. These are 3 men who allowed a child, let's face it, the kid was what is he? Was he 18, 19 years old at this time?
Something like that, I believe, yeah.
To be abused. He went and told them, and they intentionally and purposely covered it up to win a Stanley Cup. Disgusting. Yep. Absolute. I just blah.
Time will only tell, but I did want to get your immediate reactions on it.
I of course, I'm calm and cool and collected about it, and I have no opinion.
Of course.
No, but in all seriousness, they shouldn't be allowed. Simple.
Yep.
There's
the fact that they also try to hide it behind free agency, like they did it, they announced it in the ruckus of all the contract signings, just shows how spineless the NHL actually is. If you're going to stand by that decision, do it the day after, the day before, and stand by your convictions.
And you notice nobody's picked it up. No big news.
I've heard it be talked about quite a bit,
but it's not major news. I guess.
I think it'll be major news if one of them ends up somewhere.
Yeah,
just because the NHL reinstates it does not mean they have a place back in hockey.
No, and I guess the question is, do either of these 3 really want to come back into the public spotlight? Like, go crawling back into your little hole and go away. It's simple. In my opinion.
Now onto happier news.
I don't know if this is happier news, because I hear you might rant about this.
This is great news. The NHL has released their schedule, which means we are like 98 days away from hockey. God, it's so exciting. Which means training camps open in like a month and a half. No, 2 months. In 2 months.
So exciting.
However, in uncovering all of this, because it's what I do and my brain works in weird ways. Do we really need all these cross-conference, non-conference games? And a schedule of 82 games, you have 32 of them. 32 of your 82 games being played against people that you will not see until the Stanley Cup final, if you're lucky enough to make it and they're lucky enough to make it. Instead, you play 5 teams within your division, 2 home, 2 away, 4 times. You play 2 teams in your division only 3 times. You play the teams within your conference but aren't in your division 3 times each. And then you play your non-conference teams twice each. 1 home, 1 away.
So did they change that this year? Like, did we not play Edmonton a whole bunch more times than that?
Nope.
We only played them 4 times?
We played them 4 times. We played them 3 times at the beginning of the year and once at the end of the year.
And we beat them all 4 times.
And we beat them all 4 times.
Just wanted to make that clear. And now we only play them 3 times this year, I hear.
Now we only play them 3 times this year. So they rotate which teams you play 4 and 3 times. However, you want to build these playoffs because the way they built the playoffs is it's the Pacific, the Central, the Atlantic, and the Metro.
Yes.
And you have your wild cards. You want to make these games really mean something. You make slight tweaks to the schedule. And I actually worked it all out here because I couldn't sleep. And this idea came across my brain and I want to write it out and make it make sense. So,
God help us.
Right now, you play your interdivision teams 3 or 4 times.
Right.
In my proposed schedule, you play them 6 times.
Each one
6 times. 3 on the road, 3 at home.
Okay.
You play your 8 interconference non-divisional teams 3 times each. So 1 year will be 2 at home, 1 on the road. The next year it'll be swapped. And then you play the remaining 16 teams once. You play 8 at home and 8 on the road. And then the next year you swap 8 on the road, 8 at home.
See, now the reason the NHL went away from that style, because they did do that for a while where
forever
you wouldn't see Pittsburgh or New York or
for every 3 years.
Vancouver is when they did come in, tickets sold like crazy. Even in bottom end teams, when the Montreals came in, let's face it. I mean, you go to the Saddle Dome when Montreal comes in, you don't know which teams are the home team.
It's 50-50.
Right? So the teams, the owners, went to Bettman and said, we need this because we need more money.
Well, so I agree with that to a degree, but it also, I believe, it came in when Crosby and Malkin were both drafted to the East.
Yes.
And they wanted to get more exposure. There wasn't the national broadcast rights deals that there are now.
Yes.
So we've done this experiment. I don't think it's working. The rivalries are not there the same way.
No, and I'll agree with you about the rivalries, but you can't say that it's not working because they're selling buildings out every time an Eastern team comes in.
Are they?
Oh, yeah. You get Montreal, Toronto.
New Jersey? New Jersey comes to town, they're selling it out with New Jersey fans?
Well, I mean, Boston comes into town, they're selling it out.
Boston's has diehard fans. New Jersey doesn't. I'm just picking New Jersey.
Yeah, Chicago.
People are buying tickets to see Bedard, 100%. San Jose goes east. You think anyone's going to be buying tickets?
I think it's more the other way.
But you can't have it that way.
Well,
but now what happens? Now what happens is, oh, you want to see Bedard? Well, he's not here this year. You have to pay triple next year to see him.
True. I get what you're saying. It's going to be a bigger draw.
You're creating scarcity in something that has been an abundance. And you're creating rivalries for 6 games in a year. That's a lot.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not disagreeing with you. I would love to see it. I'm looking at it as a business, and that business model, smarter people than you and I put this schedule together, who are paid big bucks to do it. It's not done without.
No, but it's it's done through this. It's negotiated through the CBA,
Yes.
so that nothing can change until that's up, which won't be
Right.
up for
So
another 2 years.
it'll be interesting to see if they ever change it, because I don't disagree. I would love to see 6 games against Calgary and 6 games against Edmonton and 6 games against Seattle
Against the
and
Kraken, like,
Vegas.
right? Like, it creates that much more intensity.
Yes.
And each game means that more because it's not just a 2-point swing, it's a 4-point swing in your division.
Yeah, exactly. No, I don't disagree.
But enough about hockey. We've chatted 45 minutes about hockey.
Well, we knew we were going to this week. That's why we
Yes.
waited till next week to do what we're doing next week.
Yes. However,
Stay tuned for that, folks, because it's big.
However, we are halfway through the show. Just line up. Hopefully, we're not going another 45 minutes.
I was going to say we're more than halfway.
Do you want to hit them with the sponsor of today's show?
Oh, yes. We were supposed to have a ad for this week, but I don't know what it is. This last week and a half has just been a weird week and a half at work. We're super busy, so it's good. So we have finished up our June where we were offering the 2.99%. But we're going to carry it forward on one particular unit. It's called the Timberwolf 16 ml. It's, if anybody's ever looked at our website, and if you go to rangeland.com and you go to search and you go 16 ml, which I think Jake is doing right now, and he'll probably pull it up. It is basically, I guess the best way to describe this unit is a mini house on wheels. We have a lot of people looking at them, and a lot of younger couples looking at them to live in as a permanent house, because the housing market is so screwy. And that's it. There it is. It's the little mini house on wheels, which is kind of cool. Is that? Yeah, that's the one. So it's got your queen.
The one you told me to look up.
Yeah, it's got the queen loft upstairs. Go back to that. The floor plan there. So it's got the queen loft upstairs, and then below it you have your bathroom, full kitchen with a full-size refrigerator or dishwasher, a washer and dryer combo. You get the ice maker. It's a really cool little unit, and at $55,000, it's a steal. It really is. And for right now, while supplies last, I think we have 3 left, maybe 4. But I know we have 3 for sure. We are going to honor that 2.99%. So instead of the 8.99, it's a huge discount when you're looking to finance. There's the, go back to that one picture there. That is the washer and dryer combo. And then above that is your dishwasher. It's really cool because if you go over to the sink, you see that little black thing beside the faucet. That is a cup washer.
I want one. I'm moving in like a month. I want to add one to our setup.
A cup washer?
Yeah.
I think they're the coolest things. It's just one of those. That is cool. So you get the ice maker, you get the dishwasher, lots and lots of storage for a little unit like this. And can you stay in it year round? You bet. You would have to skirt it, put some heaters underneath it. But you can definitely do it. So if you're interested, you know where to get me. Look me up on Facebook, look me up on Twitter, or call Rangeland. Best number to call is, you can call the 833-745-3684, or you can call 403-279-5200, or text me. That's probably even easier. You can text me at 403-969-2184.
And we do appreciate Rangeland sponsoring the show. Jesus, I can't speak.
Yeah, I know. Isn't this your job?
No.
We should get you to do the commercial.
Definitely not. But jumping into the week that was in the CFL, week number 4, we started off with another incredible game between the Edmonton Elks, who just barely keep losing games, and the Lions, who just keep finding ways to win games, with a walk-off field goal. And I literally, shit you not, I looked at my girlfriend and I said, D, it's going to happen. I looked at the score and I saw what was happening and I said, it's going to happen. And she's like, what? I'm like, I called it. I said, this is the week where the fortunes are reversed. And I was wrong, thankfully.
I was getting worried. I'm not going to lie. The Elks seem to just find ways to lose, whether it be penalties, turnovers. They took just a horrible penalty at the near the end of the game there that kind of kept our drive alive with a face mask. Did the Lions look impressive? Absolutely not. But they're just doing enough to win. And we talked about it last week and I know people are going to say, that's not true. You said it was going to be a 20-point spread. And I'm like, yeah, I did. But we also were talking about how the Lions are just doing enough to win. And really, I mean, that's all you can ask. They're 3-1. Another solid performance by Mr. Our QB,
Junior
Adams. Thank you. I lost his name. I think our biggest issue right now lies on our defense.
And while I'd love to agree, like looking at the stats, we limited them to 247 yards.
It was Edmonton.
Through the air and 98 rushing.
It was Edmonton.
I
mean, 2 points I would like to get looked at, and it's defense. I don't know what's going on, but it seems like teams are racking up yardage against us week after week. Yeah, this week wasn't that bad, but it was Edmonton.
Yep.
Our corners, our offensive line, our ends. I said corners. Offensive lines. It seems like Adams isn't going to last the season if he keeps getting hit.
No.
Right? It's like
this
flushed out of the pocket.
I would say he was flushed out of the pocket, but there was no sacks allowed for the first week, for the first time this year.
But he was flushed out of the pocket a whole lot, and he was forced to run on broken plays.
Yes, but in my opinion, that's when Vernon Adams shines.
He really
does. When he's holding that ball for just probably 5 seconds too long in a proper coach's opinion, but he extends the play with his feet. He finds a way to find that open target and hits them. It's hard to argue when
it is. It's successful. It's working. So I got no complaints. We won.
Yep. Now the fourth week in a row with a walk-off field goal in the CFL.
It's insane.
I'm going to throw it out there. Then I'm going to be
one.
Well, this is where I was going to be completely honest. I was out of cell service. Like I said, in buttfuck nowhere, Saskatchewan, far up north. I saw zero of these games.
Folks, he wasn't in Saskatoon. He was in Saskatchewan.
That's what I said. It's Saskatoon.
You said Saskatchewan. That's an actual city in Saskatchewan.
No. Saskatoon is the city. Saskatchewan is not. Anywhere.
Oh, I see. Okay, carry on.
So I didn't see any of these games, and I was been super busy at work. I wasn't able to actually watch a lot of the highlights. So I'm going to rely on the old man to tell me what happened in these games. We had the Montreal Alouettes going into the Argos in a battle for first place, and the Alouettes proved that they are still first and probably the best team in the CFL right now.
This game could easily be 50 for the Ls. You can see they let up in the second half. The Ls are going to be the team to beat this year in the East. I would go as far as to say they're going to be the team to beat, period. We've said it every week. We mimic Mr. Rod Peterson. Thanks, Rod. We love you. Death, taxes, and Cody Fajardo winning. It's the only thing that you can count on.
The guy just does it.
Yes. It's amazing.
Then we go to the second walk-off field goal. Can we call it a walk-off field goal in overtime? I guess we can. The second walk-off field goal of the week with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers taking on the Stamps, losing by a score of 19-22 in overtime.
Yes. How come I don't see it up?
Because I clicked the wrong button.
Oh, I was going to say, where is it? There it is. Bombers came close. They didn't deserve to be close. Any other team beside the Stamps, and this game's 40-10. Easy to say, obviously.
Zach Claros does go out though in this
Yes.
game,
He does. He came back. He went out and he came back.
but has not been seen at practice since.
No, and I thought it was weird because they had Strevler in, and he was moving. He was moving the ball. But they decided to put Mr. Claris back in, and I think he finished the game, if my memory serves me correct. In their weird thing they do, because they swap those two quite often. It's not just short yardage; it's a weird system they have there.
I like what they're doing though, because they're keeping teams on their toes.
They are definitely.
Right? And now on 2nd and 1, Stravler comes in. It's not automatically a dive.
No,
all of a sudden he could be dropping back and throwing a bomb.
Exactly. Stamps have work to do. They full deserve this win. I guess. We watched it, obviously. Allison's a massive Stamps fan, so we watched the game when I got home from work. It was boring, and we both said it. It's like, oh my God. I think it was, I don't know, well into the second before somebody scored a touchdown. Might even have been in the second half before somebody scored a touchdown. It was like, holy crap, would someone do something? You have Robo Kicker, Paredes, who I think he kicked like a 95-yarder that night. I think it was insane. I think it was 59 yards. 50, I think it was 59 or 57. I'd have to go back and look.
52.
But I'm telling you, that ball, it would have gone 65. Like it wasn't just made it. It was like, he kicked it and you could just see him go, yeah, I made it. He's so good is the only words. He really is. For his age, he should have retired last year, but he's continuing. He could be a full-time fireman by now. He will be a fireman when he ends. Again, boring game to watch. I'm glad the TSN is doing everybody a favor and not showing the stands in any of these games. Because let's watch the game, folks. It's the game that we're here to do, not the attendance.
We're not here to talk about the attendance.
Exactly. But boring game, but Stamps win.
Win.
Typical Stamps game.
Bombers have now gone 0 for 4. And I know you wanted to bring up a point, so that's why I'm bringing it up.
Yes. It's real easy to pile on the Bombers, and everybody knows that I love the Smurf Mafia. But let's not forget 2011. Jake, what was the Lions' record after the first 5 games in 2011?
0-5.
Yes, it was.
However, I will say this. The way in which the Bombers are losing is vastly different than how the Lions were losing those games when they were 0-5.
Yes, very much so. But records are records. So
yeah,
you could, in the CFL, you could go down 0-5, 0-6, and still come back. And win the Grey Cup.
We talked about earlier. Look at the Edmonton Oilers. They were 0-9, 0-8, and came back and won, or almost won, the Stanley Cup. They came to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup.
Right. So is there worry in Bomberland? Of course there is. You're 0-4. I'd be panicking.
0-4, and your starting quarterback hasn't been at practice.
And your star running back is still hurt. Even though he's playing, he's not 100%. You can tell. And your receivers are ancient and hurting. They've got some issues.
And we talked about it coming into the season. That was our biggest concern about the Bombers is, yeah, they are a good team, but they're another year older. And all these teams are another year younger.
Exactly.
For the most part.
And no matter how much I love to hate the Bombers going 0-4 isn't good for this league. It's just not. We need them to be competitive.
We do, but I also see that the Bomber fan base, Smurf Mafia, as we like to call them here, they're still in full force. They still believe.
Yeah.
But if we go 0-5, 0-6, 0-7, is that going to still be there?
Well, that's the thing, right? And it doesn't get any easier for him. So we'll see. We'll see.
Then we head in to Sunday. The Hamilton Tiger Cats taking on the Ottawa Red Blacks. The Red Blacks take the win 22-24 in another super, super close game.
This was a fun game to watch. And in my pick'em, I had the Red Blacks. So going into this one, I was 3 for 3. And this one went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And it was just one of those low-scoring, fun games to watch. So many mistakes. Bo just, I don't know what has happened to Bo Levi over the last few years, 5 years. But man, if I'm Bo, and I'm calling a meeting with just my receivers, and I'm fighting them, each of them. I'm literally going to fight them all because they're making me look that bad. There was more drop passes or badly run routes. And Bo, believe it or not, kept his calm. I didn't see him lose it once. I was like, okay, because there were so many where you're like, how did he drop that? Like, how do you not catch that? Yes, Bo throws hard. Grow up. You're playing football. Catch the damn ball. You have one job.
He went 66% completion rate.
Yeah, horrible. And like, honestly, it should have been 90 because they weren't like, he wasn't, did he pull bows and throw an interception? Yeah, of course he did. And was he overthrowing? Yeah, of course he was. But there was so many that should have been caught where you're just like,
and for Hamilton, there's been a handful of games where balls have hit players dead in the hands and either through the hands or off the hands rather than collecting them.
And it's not even like we always say, if you can get your fingers on it, you should be able to catch it. No, these balls are right here. Like they're right in the center.
It's through the diamond you're taught to make.
Yeah.
You played any level of football, you make that diamond, the ball goes in, it closes. The problem is they're just doing this. No, thank you.
I might get hit. I don't know what it is. It's bizarre whether they're unhappy playing in Hamilton. I don't get it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens now because they're 0-4 as well, are they not? Or 0-3?
They are 0-4 as well.
Are they? Okay, yeah. So lots of issues, I'll say.
Lots and lots of issues. Now,
everybody's
second favorite segment.
Second. You notice that? That was second favorite.
But I got something cool for you.
Oh.
Well, actually, it's for me, but it's for you and the audience.
Power rankings, here we go. Who's the greatest? We want to know. Hughes Sports, breaking it down. CFL, the talk of the town. From east to west, battles through the test. Heroes rise and fall in this epic quest.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for the second favorite segment on the show, the Hughes Sports Power Rankings.
Can I say something before you?
You can always try to say something, yes.
I know you because you always cut me off. But how can the second favorite have a cooler entrance and longer? It's a second, not the first.
Well, you made me click a button when I wasn't.
What are you doing?
You made me click a button. You made me click a button.
I didn't make you do nothing, buddy. I'm over here. You're way over there. Over there.
He doesn't know directions. Don't worry.
What are you doing now? Why?
I'm fixing it because you made me hit a button.
I didn't do nothing.
Making me hold things up. That's right, guys. It is time for the Hughes Sports Power Rankings.
Hey, Charlie's back.
What?
Sorry, carry on. Hi, Charlie.
Hello, Charlie. In the bottom position, which may have already been spoiled for you all,
The bottom. The whole thing was spoiled.
is the number 9 Winnipeg Blue Bombers with a record of 0-4. I want to try to put them higher, but I just can't. They just keep finding ways to lose, and it is what it is.
They have to be there.
In 8, we have the Edmonton Elks, also with a record of 0-4. A team that I honestly had higher hopes for this season.
Me too.
Just can't figure it out. However, they are making progress.
How about we fire the coach and let Brown play? I'm just saying.
In number 7, we have the Hamilton Tiger Cats, a team, again, that I was holding my breath for, because if Bo Levi could come back and play like he could, it's just not happening.
And we both said that, in preseason. If Bo can be Bo, this could be a big season for Hamilton, but
and I don't even think it's Bo. I think it's the surrounding pieces that I had faith in coming into the season.
Yeah, exactly.
In 6th place, we have your Calgary Stampeders with a record of 2-1. A team that's winning games somehow. Not super impressive.
Their over and under coming into the season was 6 wins.
They're on track.
Yeah, right.
In 5th place, we have the Ottawa Red Blacks, who I think are surprising quite a few people.
Yes.
2-1 record, look very good every time they do play. And every time they play, I think they have a chance to win. So putting them ahead of the Stampeders purely for that reason. Number 4, we have your BC Lions with a 3-1 record. Again, playing well enough to win, but not really shocking anyone with any of their results.
True.
In 3rd, we have your Toronto Argonauts, who did not play this week, but have a record of 2-1. And I think are being outshined by the Saskatchewan Roughriders, who are now 3-0 and really have done a great job doing that. Sorry, I said the Argos didn't play this week. It was the Riders that didn't play this week. The Argos lost to the Owls.
But the big thing with Saskatchewan is going to be a big tell this week is what they do without Harris, because of course they lost their QB in week 3. So it'll be interesting to see if what happens in week 4. That'll tell us a lot of how they're going to finish the season.
And of course, the cream of the crop, the team that both of us have talked about being the best team, not just in the East, but in the CFL, the Montreal Alouettes, just keep doing what they do best, and that's winning football games.
Well, I'm glad you actually put some thought into this week's, because last week's you could tell you just threw numbers out of board and it didn't really matter. Where this week you actually have some
First
thought.
off,
The only thing I would disagree with is 3 and 4. I would have flipped them.
I could not move the Argos. I could not, in good faith, move the Argos down 2 spots when they didn't play.
Mm-hmm.
And for the Lions to eke out a victory over a 8th seed team.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that's why I was like, I'll give you this one. Very good job.
Thank you.
Compared to last week where it wasn't such a great job.
You made that post and there was like 4 people who didn't agree with you and about 100 people that agreed with me. So I think you're out to lunch, and finally the Facebook audience is right. Facebook, you're not listening to me. You actually might be right occasionally sometimes.
How many times have we discussed the fact that Facebook is never right? Don't read the comments. They're always wrong.
Yeah, sometimes they're right. And now it's time for everyone's favorite segment.
What? I don't get it, D. Not D, you're D, but Decoy says Calgary should be above Ottawa because Brady Tkachuk is a bum.
Well, now Decoy, if this was the NHL, I would 100% be on board with that. But that doesn't really make... You know what? We're just going to move on to everyone's favorite segment of the week.
It's time for the old man predictions. How well did he do? Do-do-da. Do-dee-do.
That is right, everyone. Time for the old man predictions. How well did he do? Do-dee-da, do-dee-do. And this week, the old man went perfect for the second week in a row, bringing his total record to a 13-3, while his weekly predictions record to an even 2-2.
The favorite segment of this show, and he gets a 13-second intro.
Well, no,
we'll talk off air, young fella.
It gets like a 26-second intro because it always gets the same intro. Time for everyone's favorite segment of the week. We cut into it, and then when we come out of it, I say it again, so I'm doubling the length of it. So you can, or you can make it yourself.
Can't change it now. It's like changing my name.
We had to do that on Twitter. So going in tomorrow, the Toronto Argonauts are taking on the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Should be a very, very fun game.
It should be.
Who are you taking in the Thursday night game?
Who am I taking in the Thursday night game, you say?
That is what I'm asking, yeah.
Well, this one I had to go back and forth on because without Harris as QB, do the Riders stand a chance against Toronto? One of the better teams. You got them ranked third, I think.
Yep.
I actually clicked the Riders and then I switched it again and put the Argos. So I'm going to stick with the Argos. 50. It's a coin toss because it's 51-49 according to CFL Pick'em. But we're going to go with the Argos.
We're going to go with the Argos. Then Ottawa takes on Winnipeg. The lowly Winnipeg going home to take on Ottawa was a record of 2-1. Who do we have?
Interesting. 73% of the fans picked Winnipeg to win this one, to get their first win. I have to rethink. I'm going to have to rethink as I'm thinking. I'm going to stick with what I said. I'm going to go with Ottawa to win again.
No, these two teams played earlier this year.
Yes, and Ottawa won, did they not?
Just barely.
Yeah, I know.
Came down to like the last couple plays.
Who's this decoy guy? Person. Human.
I don't know.
Winnipeg by 10,000.
Okay.
Smoking pot in my mom's basement hasn't affected me at all.
Going into the Saturday game, Calgary is taking on Montreal. Montreal is the home team with a perfect record of 4-0. Calgary coming in with a 2-1 record.
I'm waiting for Decoy's response here to see if he says Calgary by 40 million. It's going to be the L's. This is the blowout game of the year, of the week. I mean, and it could be the year. I don't. It's pretty simple. Calgary just isn't going to stack up well.
And then Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific time, we have the BC Lions going in to Hamilton. BC coming in with a record of 3-1, and Hamilton winless at 0-4.
Yeah, of course I've got BC on this one. It's a matter of by how much. Give me a number. What you think? What the Lions will win by?
If I was to set the line on this game, I'd set it at 6.5.
6. I hadn't put in on your last game on Pick'em. You have to pick a score or a differential. So I put in 6 because I agree it's going to be closer than most people anticipate for sure. Because of BC, we just barely win. That's what we do.
Barely win. You don't need to go out and blow the doors down. You just need to barely win.
Hey, Decoy, grab a life. You come here and you try to insult us by saying, "Oh, like the 3 other viewers on this stream, Try again. We have well over 70 viewers watching the show right now. So and we don't need you here.
We,
Thank-
we don't read the negative comments. Hi, Charlie. How are you doing today? Appreciate you checking out the show. Do we have anything else to cover this week?
No. Except, what are we going to do when the old man goes 4 for 4 one more time?
I don't think that's going to happen, but we do have one more thing you need to make the announcement on. Guys, you almost forgot.
We did. Wouldn't that have been bad?
No, I didn't forget. I asked you, and you're like, I don't think so. I'm like, are you
Yes,
sure?
We have a huge announcement. Massive. Probably, we love getting guests. We pick and choose. We're very careful on who we get. Some guests are great. Some guests are not so great. But the majority of the guests we had have been fabulous.
Yep.
This next week's guest, is it fair to say he will be a first ballot Hall of Famer in the CFL?
Don't know if that's. Could he not have gone in this year?
No, because he just retired in May of this year.
Oh, I thought he retired last year.
No, he retired May of 2024. May 17th of 2024. Yeah, something like that. That's when he announced it. So I think this man will be a Hall of Fame material.
Definitely Hall of Fame material.
Played for BC for, I think, 6 years. Played for 2 years, then went down, bounced around the NFL for a little bit, and then came back to BC for 6 more years, and then moved over to Saskatchewan for 1 year, and finished his career in Edmonton, none other than Manny Arsenault.
Correct.
He will be our guest next week. Holy, am I excited.
164 total games played in the CFL, 9,277 yards, 58 touchdowns.
I think that's Hall of Fame material.
I think that is Hall of Fame material.
I mean, the only thing that's holding him back is he never won the big one.
Nope. Was a 4-time All-Star, but never won.
But that shouldn't hold you back. I don't think that should be a criteria.
You only have one team that wins every single year. So
Exactly. So tune in next week, folks. We're probably going to have him for 15, 20 minutes right at the very beginning of the show, like we always do when we have our guest. He's got some big stuff he's doing right now. I'm going to get him to touch on the CFL PA and how they helped him get to where he is now. And of course, we'll talk about his amazing career.
Correct. You won't want to miss that next week. If you do have questions for Emmanuel Arsenault, please do put them in the comments. Tweet at us using the hashtag HSP. Tag us in those posts as well at HSP_pod. We'll definitely get your questions into Manny and hopefully see you guys here live right on time at 8 p.m. Mountain, 7 p.m. Pacific. That's 9 p.m. in the East Coast. Figure out your time zones from there because I don't have time to go through them all. Have yourselves a wonderful day.